Hey everybody, it's Tyler with Tyler Talks Travel Trailers, and today this might be one of my most important videos that I'm doing for people that are just starting to look at trailers or first-time buyers. So I got two trailers right here. They are identical. This is going to be a Surveyor 19 MDB LE. This is going to be a 184 BHSX Catalina. But there is some huge differences in the build quality. This is going to be a more conventional build, meaning it's stick and tin. This is going to be a laminated travel trailer, meaning that it's fiberglass and aluminum framed. There's a lot of things that go into that other than those two things. So what we're going to do is I'm going to pick these apart and show you what to look for when you're out looking for your first trailer. Let's go, guys. All right, guys, so the main thing I want to start off with is there is no right or wrong decision when it comes to buying a conventional build or the more laminated aluminum frame trailer. They have been building these trailers like this since the 20s, and you still see them on the road being enjoyed. So there is no right or wrong. The main thing is to find out what your needs are and what you're going to be using it for. So that's what we're going to go into. I'm going to tell you the pros and cons of both of them. Over here to the right, we'll start with the build on this one. This is your more conventional built trailer. And like I said, they've been building them this way forever. You have the aluminum panels on the outside, and then on the inside you have wood framing studs. And then they put a fiberglass bat insulation in between those studs. So that's basically how this is built. And they lay these panels over top of that. Over here to the left, we got the laminated walls. So there's a lot of different ways you can laminate these walls. They have what's called a pinch and roll method, and then they have a vacuum bonded wall. On this particular brand Surveyor, it is going to be a vacuum bonded wall. So basically, instead of sticking it on a press and gluing the walls together and running it through that press, they literally suck out all of the air out of the walls, which is great because you don't have to worry about inconsistencies with the rollers and, you know, maybe pockets of air being inside of that fiberglass. The main thing, a lot of times with these two trailers, that one will always be wood framed. This one is aluminum framed, and I'm going to show you how to look for that when you're out looking at a trailer. So, see how that's all aluminum underneath? If we come over here, this is all going to be wood framed. And like I told you, there's no one's better than the other. They both have their pros and cons. But a lot of times when you have a laminated wall travel trailer, they will be aluminum framed. And I'm going to go into what you need to look for with that a little bit later. But the way that they build these walls is they put the fiberglass on the outside, and then behind this fiberglass you have another layer, and it's either Luan or Azdel. And then behind that you have the aluminum framing that I just showed you, and then you have a rigid block foam that they use for the insulation. So two completely different trailers in the build quality. One thing I want to point out with aluminum frame trailers is you really got to pay attention to how it's aluminum framed. For instance, if you go out and look at trailers, you really need to ask the sales guy, is this a 6-side aluminum framed or is it mixed with wood? So on this particular trailer, the front wall, the back wall, the floor, the roof, and the side walls are all aluminum. Now, if you don't ask that question, a lot of times the companies will put a sticker on the side that will say it's aluminum framed. And if it doesn't say 6-side aluminum framed, or they don't specify that, the trailer could potentially be mixed with wood. So be sure to ask that when you're out looking at aluminum frame trailers. If I was going aluminum, I'd want the whole thing to be aluminum. If I was going wood, I'd want the whole thing to be wood. I wouldn't want, it mixed with both. And when I was discussing this particular trailer, I told you there's a layer behind the fiberglass. This is really important. So they use two types of materials behind that fiberglass wall. What they'll do is they'll either put Luan, which is basically just a plywood sheet, 1/4 inch, 1/8 inch behind that fiberglass, or they will use what's called Azdel. As you can see, this trailer has Azdel on it. You got to imagine when they make these walls and they run it through, they vacuum bond them. If the wood behind the fiberglass gets penetrated by water, what happens is you start having delamination issues. So I'm sure you guys have seen it. When you're out, you can see the walls start to look ugly. You can always look at trailers and look down it and you'll see bubbling or waviness to it. What that means is that water has actually gotten in between the walls and now it's separating that wood from the glue. The great thing about Azdel is that it's basically waterproof. You could literally stick the material. It's a man-made material. It's a type of composite. You can stick that in water for months. For months, you could stick it in water and it will not change. It will not warp on you. It won't break down on you. So when you're out looking at fiberglass trailers, really keep an eye out for that sticker, or ask the sales guy, does it have a composite wall? Azdel is just the brand, so you got to ask if it has that type of composite on it. So huge difference. You got aluminum sided, you got fiberglass, but you got Azdel on the inside walls of that particular trailer. There's pros and cons to both. And I'm going to go into the pros of why the aluminum sided trailer is better than your fiberglass. So one instance that I would say this aluminum siding is better, you can see this seam right here? So there's literally large panels that are placed all up and down this trailer. On this one as well, you can see there's 3 panels right here. If someone backs into you, you know, maybe they back into the back of this and they just damage the whole entire thing. All you got to do is literally replace this one panel. That's it. If we come over here to the fiberglass, do you see any lines in this trailer, or do you see one huge piece of fiberglass? Exactly. So it has one big, solid, laminated wall that stretches across the entire trailer. Now I want you to imagine someone backing into this. Huge wall, it's laminated, the materials cost more. If that happens, you literally have to send it either into, you know, you have to take it back to the dealership. It's going to cost a ton of money in materials. So fixing or repairing the trailer is going to be so much more affordable on the standard, you know, conventional build. Repair costs are just a lot less. Obviously, the main thing pointing that out to you guys, one's going to cost more. Obviously, based off of what I just told you, this fiberglass trailer is going to cost more to purchase as a whole. The materials cost more, the tools cost more to buy and use. You got to train people how to do it. Whereas the conventional built Catalina, you know, they've been building them that way forever. It's wood, it's easy, it's simple, and they can fix it very easy. One thing that you have to worry about on these metal-sided trailers, hail damage. You know, if you're driving through Texas or something, you know, where the weather changes quick on you, hail damage will definitely affect this outer shell with the aluminum. And I have seen people have to literally total the trailer because of the hail damage. You can drive this thing through a hailstorm and you're not going to have any issues with it being dented or dinged up. So the fiberglass is going to hold up a lot better in certain weather. And then I go back to the other one. I'm telling you, there is no right or wrong. When I get towards the end, you'll be able to decide what's better for you based on your needs. But right now we're kind of pointing out certain things on the outer shells. You see that sun right there? It is hot. It is dry here in New Mexico. Which one do you think is going to handle better with the sun? And I'll tell you, it is not going to be the fiberglass. The fiberglass, I'm sure you guys have seen it over time, it starts to fade and get chalky. On these aluminum frame trailers, they really hold up well with the sun. I mean, you might have some decals start cracking and stuff, but overall, this aluminum siding in the sun is going to hold up so much better than the fiberglass. There's ways to combat that, you know, with waxes and stuff. And you could put like Silajet on the outside, which we sell, and that'll help keep that sun from eating away at the fiberglass. And then you got to imagine which one stays cleaner. Now we go back to the Surveyor. The Surveyor stays a lot cleaner. You could buff it out and wax it. Whereas this one, you know, you have those little seams where it does get a little dirtier. It's harder to keep clean. So back and forth, you know, they're both have their pros and cons. The next thing I want to point out is insulation and temperature. What can handle, you know, the colder weather, even though this one does have features for cold temperatures. This particular trailer, like I told you, is aluminum framed with batt insulation in the walls. This is aluminum with the rigid foam block in the walls. Obviously, the wood is going to be a better insulator, as well as the fiberglass batt insulation. I know some people don't like the idea of the fiberglass batt insulation, but this one is going to be a little better insulated in your walls. Kind of opposites, you know, you would imagine that the one that costs more might be a little bit better at insulating. But there's ways around it. You know, you got tank heaters and things like that in the fiberglass one. One thing I want to point out with the fiberglass and the aluminum frame trailer is it's lighter. So which one's better to tow? You know, if you have a Toyota Tacoma, you're kind of limited on the tow vehicle. This one is going to be a better option because it's lighter. Also, the wind resistance, they say, you know, when you're driving down the freeway, all of these pockets where air kind of creates resistance against it, you know, gas mileage, wind resistance. So overall, the towing on this one is going to be better because it's lighter. So now that we went through all of that, I'm going to show you the inside of these real quick just so you can get an idea. And then I'm going to rehash everything I just told you. That way, you know, it was kind of quick, went through it fast. But I did a 25-minute tour on both of these. So this is a Surveyor. Definitely keep an eye out for how much more cabinetry you get, more features. Like I said, this does have tank heaters. Very similar trailer, but entirely different build quality. One thing I want to point out to people is how much are you going to use it? How often do you think you're going to go out camping with the family? Is this your first trailer? Do you know if you're going to like it or not? These are the questions you should be asking yourself, because obviously this one's going to cost more than this one. A lot of times buying a trailer like this, the build quality isn't worse, as I've just showed you. You might lose some features, but you get to spend a lot less, and you get to get out camping, and you get to see if you like it or don't like it. The other thing that I always tell people is go and, you know, buy one of these, see what you like or don't like, and then when you trade it in, you know, you already know what you like and don't like, and you didn't go spend 40 grand on a trailer and get all the bells and whistles. Or if you're the type of person that does, you know, you do love camping, you want to do this, you're ready for it, you might want, you know, the laminated wall because it's lighter and you get tons of features. So very similar trailers, but a huge difference in construction. I wouldn't necessarily say build quality, because as I stated, they both have their pros and cons. You got the conventional one that's gonna be easier to repair if issues happen. It also can handle the sun a lot better. You know, the fiberglass will fade. This one is lighter because of the aluminum and the fiberglass, not to mention the Azdel helps if you live in a, you know, wet environment, or you're concerned about the rippling in the walls and delam. You get more features in this because it's lighter. So huge decisions. You just got to write a list and figure out what is going to work best for you. And as I stated, on the fiberglass, you have two methods of building these. You have pinch and roll, and you have vacuum bonded walls. I would prefer the vacuum bonded walls. It's just more consistent. You know, you're not depending on a roller that they use constantly and have to change out. And then on the inside of that, you have the option to either get Azdel or Luan. You know, Azdel is going to hold up better with moisture. It'll help with delam issues. But I will say this, both of them won't last if you don't do regular maintenance or make sure things are kept up. So even though it has Azdel, there is still wood in certain areas of this trailer, even though it's framed out in wood. I always tell people this thing can, you know, I'm not saying it's impossible for moisture not to get in, but you really need to make sure that you're doing your regular maintenance on your joints. You want to make sure that the roof is good, all those things where water could potentially get in. But if I was picking a fiberglass trailer, I would prefer the Asdel just as a preventative measure to kind of help in the case that I did not catch one of those joints that potentially has water coming in. Let's get into the price real quick so I could tell you what the difference in price is. All right, guys, so we have the laminated aluminum frame trailer and the conventional trailer. Your aluminum frame trailer at this dealership, your MSRP would be $43,099. Your sell price would be $30,495. On the more conventional built trailer, you're looking at $29,504 for your MSRP, and your sell price is $29,995. So there's almost a $10,000 difference. And when I say that, I do want to clarify that because the aluminum framing and the Asdel laminated walls, fiberglass, it makes it lighter. So that price doesn't just mean that you're getting that build quality cost that much. You're also getting a lot of other features because it's lighter. So in the Surveyor, you get tank heaters, you got microwaves, you got TVs already in it, bigger refrigerator, bigger AC, bigger tanks. So that's what I was trying to point out to you guys, that there is no right or wrong decision when it comes to both of the trailers. I could see the instance when someone is maybe moving from a pop-up or a tent. They get into that more conventional trailer and it feels like a mansion. It feels like a rolling hotel. But let's say you've owned 3 or 4, you know what you want, you know the features you want, you go out for long extended periods of time. If you're on the road for months, you might need those extra features for the comfort of yourself. Whereas maybe you're just a weekend warrior, you're camping occasionally every month, the conventional built trailer might be the best option. You're going to save money, and like I told you, both are going to last just as long as you take care of it. You got to make sure you're checking your roof, checking the seals, making sure everything looks good. So I hope that kind of clarifies things, because when you go to dealerships, a lot of times the salesperson is just going to show you, the higher end trailer, hoping to sell you the one that costs more. And I would prefer you guys just to understand that there isn't, there is a difference, but both are built really well and you don't need to worry. I will say though, with fiberglass trailers, there is corners that they can cut. For instance, on the fiberglass, I wouldn't say Luan is cutting a corner because they've always done it that way. So, you can get Luan or Asdel. Or, the main thing is aluminum framing. So when you're out looking at trailers, just because the outside is fiberglass does not mean the innards, the guts, are built at the same quality as a Surveyor or a Rockwood or a Flagstaff. So you really need to ask the question, is it 6-side aluminum framed? If not, it's going to be mixed with wood and aluminum. And then ask if it's Asdel, because these are all things that you're going to be paying for. If you don't care about the Asdel, ask them and they'll show you one with Luan. Or if you don't care that it's mixed with wood and aluminum, ask them, so that way you're not spending the money you don't have to. So I think both are great options. Like I said, exact same floor plan. They will both serve the same area, the same floor space. It'll sleep the same amount of people. It's just what you're going to use it for. So write down a list. That's what I tell people. Write down a list, the pros and cons of both that I kind of talked to you about, and then write down, how much are you going to use it and what you need it for. So I hope that kind of clarified everything for you guys. I just kind of winged it, so hopefully it came off and came through, kind of made sense. But I'll try to do more of these videos. Like I said, if you want to see these in depth, that way you can see what options this has. There should be the videos for both of these on one of these sides, so that way you can watch the full-length tour. And if you're new to the channel, stick around. I'm going to start doing a lot more of these tips and tricks and things that will help you make a better buying decision. And I hope you guys had a great day, and I'll see you tomorrow. Thanks, guys.